All right, so now we're going to work on the features section, but I just realized that I didn't change the title of the page. It still says Simple Tailwind Starter. So I'm just going to change that to, I'll just call it Clipboard Website. All right, and then let's come down here. We want to go under the last section, and let's say Features Section, and give it a section tag with an ID of Features. All right, and then let's see. So if we come over here, it's going to be this, and let's just see what it looks like on larger screens. So it'll be this image, and the image kind of gets cut off if you have it smaller, which is fine. I think that looks good, actually. But yeah, so we have the image, and then we have over here another column of items. Okay, so basically an image and then some items. So let's go ahead and add in our container. Now we have the section container class that we can use. So let's add that. But there are some other margin. So I want to do MY20, for instance, and then let's do padding X-10. In fact, I think they all might have PX10. So let's see, does the top one? Yeah, it does. We could add that to the section container. You know what? Let's do that. Let's take PX10 off of these because MY20 is not on the first one. That has MB40 and PT16. But let's take off, PX10 off all these, and then on the section container, we'll add that PX10 here. Okay, pretty sure that will work out. So let's see, in the container here, we're going to have our image and our items. Well, actually, we're going to have a container for that. We're going to put it in a flex box. So let's say flex or dot flex, and let's say flex call to begin with, and then on medium screens, it'll be a flex dash row. And on medium screens, let's do some space. We'll say space on the x-axis 32. So we have image, and then we have our items container. All right, so for the image, I'm going to put that in a div and give it a class on medium screens. I want it to take up 50% of the page, so we'll do width dash 1/2, which I can't do with Emmet. So let's just do, say, div and then class equals, and on medium screens, width dash 1/2. And then the image itself, it's going to come from images, and it's going to be the image dash computer. And let's see, for the class, actually, you know what we want to do is position this absolute within the container. So I'm actually going to add a position of relative onto that, and then let's make this absolute so that we can position this. All right, so absolute. In fact, we only want an absolute on medium screens, so let's say MD colon absolute, and let's say from top, so we'll do top 0, and I want it 50% from the right, so I'm actually just going to do right dash and then use an arbitrary value of 50%. Okay, so let's actually take a look at that. So on small screens, it's going to look like this, and then as we make the screen larger, you'll see that it gets put into that position. And then the items are going to go on this side. Now, one quick thing I just want to mention is I have a particular way that I like to order my classes, and you've probably noticed this. I think I talked about it earlier on in the course, but I usually like to do any positioning like absolute or relative first, and then any display like flex or grid second, and then any usually any like margin, padding, any spacing, max width, things like that, width, height, I'll do next. And then any text formatting like text XL, do that, and then like shadows, rounded corners, and then have any any specific breakpoint classes at the end. All right, and that's just the way that I like to do it, but everyone has their preference. You know, where we have flex call and then on medium screens flex row, what I do is I'll still, like if I have a text Excel or something in here, I'll still put all that stuff in the middle and save the medium for the end, but you might want to have it like this and then start with the rest of your classes just to keep these two together, because I mean it's this on smaller screens, and then medium screens it's flex row, so they're kind of tied together. But I like to keep the breakpoint classes at the end, as well as the hovers or anything else like that. So I just wanted to mention that it's all preference. Everybody does things different, you know, does it in their own way. So just because I do something and I use a specific convention doesn't mean that you have to. All right, so the containers, item container, let's do flex, and let's do flex dash call, and also there is an extension called Prettier Tailwind, I think, and you can actually install that with npm, and if you use Prettier, then you can actually set it up to do that automatically, but I don't use that. So let's say flex call, and then we're going to do our margin top. Say margin top 16-16, and then margin bottom we'll do 24, and for the spacing, let's say space Y we'll do 12, and this is the space, this is for the items, which are these right here. Okay, so space 12 in between on the Y axis, and then let's do our text dash XL, and then we can do the medium screen stuff. So MD, I want to do the width 1/2, although I can't use Emmet with that, so I'll add that last. But let's do, so margin bottom, we'll do 60. And also on medium screens, we're going to do text dash left instead of center. And also on medium screens, we're going to do padding left dash 16. Okay, and I'm also going to add in here, for the width, we'll do medium screens width dash 1/2. Okay, and then inside this divs is where we're going to have the items. So let's say item 1, and we're just going to have a div around each one. So let's make this an H5 and say quick search. Now, the H5s are going to have some styling on it, and that's something we could also put in our input CSS and do some customization. But for now, let's just do class MB. Yeah, we'll do MB2. Let's do text dash 2XL for the H5s, and font dash bold. And the coloring, let's do text, and then it's going to be dark grayish blue for the text. So let's just save that. All right, so we have our quick search heading, and let's see, under the heading we're going to have a paragraph, and that's going to have a class of max width medium, and then let's do text dash, and this is going to be the grayish blue. So that'll be a little lighter, and I'm just going to copy the actual text. All right, so there we go. Let's just make this a little bigger. So it's going to look like that. The text is going to align on the left, and then on small screens it'll be centered. Now we can just copy item 1, so this div right here, and let's say item 2, and we'll say item 3, and then we just need to change up the text a little bit. So the second one is going to be iCloud sync, and then for the text, let me just grab that real quick. And then this third one, the H5, is going to be, what is it, completely history, and then the text for that. Okay, and then let's save that, and there we go. And if we make this a little bigger, it's going to look like that. So that's the feature section. Next, we have the access anywhere section, which is this. All right, so this just includes an H3 and a paragraph and an image. So let's go under this section and we'll say access anywhere section, and we're going to use a section tag. Let's give it an ID. We'll just give it an ID of access, which isn't the best naming convention like for these IDs, because this could be changed. Like if we want to change the text here to something else, then access doesn't make any sense. So I do want to mention that this might not be the best way to do this, but it's such a small project, it doesn't really matter. But when you're working with bigger layouts, bigger projects, that's stuff you do want to keep in mind. You want reusability, you know. So let's say section dash container, and let's do my-20, and that should do it for the container. And then for the H3, we don't have to add any classes because we already have the customization. So let's say clipboard and anywhere. So access clipboard anywhere, and then we have our paragraph. So that we did up here. Let's see. So this right here, max 3. Yeah, let's grab this. And let's put that right here. And then we'll close that. And let me just see if there's anything we need to change here. So we have MB24, text XL, leading 9. Yeah, this is going to be the same. So we could put this in our input CSS as well. I don't think I'm going to, but you could do that. You could call it like section paragraph or something. But let's add that. So now we should see, that's not ours. We should see this. Now we just have the image to add. So under the paragraph, let's do an image tag. And as far as classes, I just want it in the middle. So MX auto. And that's going to be images slash, and the name of the image is image devices. All right, so let's save that. Okay, cool. And that's going to be in the middle on big screens as well. So let's see, I think this is a good place to stop. And in the next video, we should be able to finish it up. All right, so this is a pretty simple but clean layout. Yeah, so we'll try to finish this up in the next video.